Namaste. Let's go live on another bicycle live stream on the first day of February 2020 in the Southern Hemisphere. It is 6:30 a.m. I've ridden 25 kilometres and it's a pleasant morning. Nice to be out and about again. So, this morning's topic, if you're tuning in early in this summer series, is this morning I want to talk about entanglement and detachment and liberation and the absolute need to detach ourselves from entanglement if we are to have any chance of succeeding spiritually in life. So I've titled this morning's live stream, Just How Dangerous is Entanglement? So let me tell you a little bedtime story, kiddies. When I was young, quite young, I had the fortune to be able to look at life, to be able to observe those around me and question. Well, one of the things was that I noticed that a common thing around with the adults, the people around me, a common thing was that they were deeply absorbed, deeply absorbed in the lives that they had created for themselves. Morning. And they were so deeply absorbed that they had become incredibly entangled in what we call life. And this entanglement was resulting in them seeing no further than a very, very shallow distance, a very short distance. And boy, I certainly picked a rocky path this morning, or bumpy path. And I was observing as a kid, I was wondering why would anyone allow themselves to get so caught up in the illusion, in the material illusion. I sort of looked at it from a very deep spiritual perspective. I was very fortunate as a young kid to have a spiritual understanding and spiritual realization that was quite pronounced. And it came from a previous existence, but it enabled me to look at things in a way that adults didn't. There's a one-legged seagull. And so I would look at people and I think, wow, you are so caught up, you are so involved, you are so entangled in the problems in your life and the relationships and the work and the problems of the world, and you get so angry about it and you get so upset about it. There's so many arguments and disagreements, and where is the peace? Where is the inner connection? And so this is what I was seeing as a young child, and I was thinking, wow, it really is very, very sad that the adults around me were just so entangled. And I observed this for quite a long time, and I decided at a very young age that I would do my best to, apologies for I'm on a very bumpy bike path here, which will stop in a moment. I would do my very best to not let that happen to me. One of my really, really big goals from a young age was to remain detached, to not become entangled, because I had this very fortunate ability to see that there was no benefit in becoming entangled in material existence. It would just take us away from our purpose, our prime directive, our goal of life here, which is spiritual connection, re-establishing spiritual and keeping a spiritual connection. So I would, as a young age, I decided to isolate myself, to detach as much as I possibly could So a lot of the things that kids do and teenagers and that do as they're growing up were of no interest to me. Needing to be, having all their kids or teenagers needing to have all their mates and all the parties and all the crazy things that they do. This was of no interest to me. I did do it a little bit. I did try it to see where I fitted in with it, and it was quickly obvious to me that it was not something that I could do. Morning. And nor was it something I wanted to do. It took me away from the inner peace that I was fortunate enough to be born with in this world, and that I knew the importance of. So, as I became an adult, I, as with all of us, came under more and more pressure to be tempted in many different ways. And this is the duality of the world that we live in, and the way that Maya Devi, the material illusion, works, is that her purpose is to always tempt us to show us that what is not real is what we're searching for. The illusion is the truth. That sort of situation. And from time to time, I fell for this and became entangled. And like all of us, the end result of that entanglement was I would at some point later have to pay the price for that entanglement. We cannot become entangled without paying a price for it, and without it removing us from our inner peace, from our inner wisdom, from our inner knowing. This is the price that we pay for. Let me just get. Yeah. So this is the price that we pay for giving in to the illusion. So there was a TV show years ago. I don't remember it now, what the name of it was called, but basically it sort of portrayed what goes on quite well. It was like the guy had on one shoulder the guy had like the devil, and on the other shoulder the guy had God, I guess, and was always being tempted one way or the other. And this is what all of us succumb to every day. This is what we are subjected to every day, where there is no getting away from this. This is the condition that we have here in the material world, that every day Maya will tempt us with a lie through our mind, and the lie will be full of glitter and gold and very flashy and very promising. And if we accept the invitation to follow her, to be tempted by her, then we will begin to become entangled. And what does that mean? That entanglement means that we get more and more caught in a situation of lust, and we lose our ability to see clearly. We begin to lose our ability to keep in touch with the wisdom. We lose our ability to keep in touch with our inner wisdom, and subsequently we become more and more removed from our spiritual connection. We become more and more upset, not at peace, angry, frustrated, depressed, all of the negative things that come from following the wrong path. So it is extremely dangerous to become entangled, and it is the most wise thing to develop detachment. To be in this world, we have no option, but don't be of this world. There's an old saying, I think it's a biblical saying, being in the world but not of the world. So we can observe how the character of the world around us and the people in it, we can observe it, but it doesn't mean that we buy into it. It doesn't mean that when somebody offers us a temptation, we automatically and blindly just accept it. What it means is we have the decision to say, oh, no thanks, that doesn't interest me. And I think that came up for me a lot lately, because in the last 2 months, transitioning away for me on a diet level, away from the temptation of all the processed foods and the nasty health effect that it had for me with the weight gain and with other health related issues. And that initial hit with the high sugar, high processed that dopamine hit that I was getting from the processed foods was not matched in the long run with any benefit. It was actually a deficit, and I had to pay the price with the weight that I'd put on. So in the last 2 months, by turning away from that temptation, I have lost 6 kilograms and improved my health and improved my future health. So that's an example of, in a practical sense, of not becoming entangled in the lie and actually, moving beyond it to something that's wiser, to realizing that the temptation was not a smart move, and in doing so, not beating ourselves up, but just understanding that we are learning from this, and we are going, okay, I know now that doesn't work. I know now that I can easily become addicted to highly processed foods. I know that they're not good for me. So I have a strategy, and the strategy in this particular case to remove oneself from entanglement is one of replacement, of substitution, of going, okay, I need to eat, and I still have a desire to have a strong, satisfaction on the taste buds, as we all do. So I go for something that has a natural sweetness, that has a natural health, that is going to be something that I'm going to desire, but it's a step up. So, you replace, as I've done, highly processed, sugar-rich foods with bowls of fruit salad, which are absolutely so sweet and so delicious and so healthy. So that was the point I wanted to make this morning, is that there is an absolute crucial necessity to not get completely entrapped and completely entangled in the movie of life. Think of it as, you're watching a movie in a cinema, and it's on a huge screen, and it's so large and overwhelming. The sound is so loud. The picture is so big that your senses are so overwhelmed that you're really absorbing it so strongly that it's almost real. And the trick is to be wise enough to realize that it's not real, that to not get caught in the illusion of it and get sucked down the rabbit hole where you lose your inner connection, you lose your actual sense of self, and you end up chasing lies, and you end up very dissatisfied and of no benefit to yourself or anyone else in spiritual service. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Live vegan and save lives, and have a great Saturday. Ahimsa.